Finding reliable tenants is one of the most critical aspects of managing a successful rental property. In South Africa, effective tenant screening protects landlords from defaults, property damage, and legal disputes. This guide outlines the best practices for screening potential tenants and complying with South African laws such as the Rental Housing Act and Consumer Protection Act. South Africa has high rates of tenant default and extended eviction timelines. Without proper vetting, landlords risk late or missed rental payments, costly eviction processes, damage to property, and legal disputes. A well-structured screening process helps landlords select tenants who are financially responsible and respectful of the lease agreement. Begin with a detailed rental application form that collects full name and contact details, South African ID or passport, employment details, monthly income, previous rental history, and references from employers and previous landlords. Make sure the tenant signs the form, giving permission to verify the information provided. Ask for a certified copy of the tenant's ID or passport, 3 months bank statements or pay slips, and proof of employment, such as a letter from their employer or an employment contract. This confirms the tenant's identity and ensures they have a stable income. A credit check is one of the most powerful tools in tenant screening. It reveals the applicant's financial behavior, including credit score, outstanding debts, and history of defaults or judgments. Use registered credit bureaus like TransUnion, Experian, or XDS, and ensure you have written permission to run a credit check. Speak directly to at least one former landlord to confirm if rent was paid on time, the condition the property was left in, whether the tenant respected the lease terms, and if the tenant was evicted or left voluntarily. This provides valuable insight into the tenant's reliability. Follow the industry standard that rent should not exceed 30-40% of the tenant's gross monthly income. For example, if a tenant earns 20,000 rands per month, they should not rent a property costing more than 6,000 to 8,000 rands per month. Affordability prevents future financial stress and non-payment issues. You can hire a tenant screening agency or use online tools to check criminal records, court judgments, and previous eviction history. Some of the popular tenant screening services in South Africa include TPN Credit Bureau, Tenant Profile Network, and PayProp. These services offer consolidated reports for informed decision-making. Understand the Rental Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination based on race, gender, religion, or other prohibited grounds. You must provide a written lease if requested by the tenant, and security deposits must be handled according to law, kept in an interest-bearing account. Comply with the Protection of Personal Information Act, POPIA, by storing tenant information securely, using the information only for the intended purpose, and obtaining explicit consent before collecting or sharing personal data. While you are not legally obliged to accept an applicant, it's best practice to inform rejected applicants respectfully. Avoid vague or discriminatory reasons and stick to financial or factual grounds, such as low credit score or insufficient income. Use online rental management platforms to automate applications and background checks. Be consistent by applying the same screening criteria to all applicants. Trust your instincts, but always back decisions with verified data. Have a pre-screening phone call before setting up viewings. Effective tenant screening in South Africa is not just about avoiding bad tenants. It's about protecting your property, your income, and your peace of mind. By following a structured process that includes identity verification, credit and background checks, and legal compliance, landlords can build long-term, hassle-free rental relationships. For professional support, consider working with rental agents or tenant screening bureaus that understand South African rental laws and best practices. Is it legal to do a credit check on a potential tenant in South Africa? Yes. You can perform a credit check using a registered credit bureau, such as TransUnion, Experian, or TPN, but only with the tenant's written consent, which is usually included in the rental application form. What information can I legally ask for when screening a tenant? You may request a South African ID or passport copy, proof of income such as pay slips or bank statements, employment details, rental history, and references, as well as consent for background and credit checks. Ensure compliance with the Protection of Personal Information Act, POPIA, when handling personal data. What is a good credit score for tenants in South Africa? Generally, a credit score above 6 is considered acceptable. However, This varies by landlord and rental property. The higher the score, the lower the risk. Scores below 500 may indicate frequent defaults or poor financial management. How can I check if a tenant has been evicted before? Use tenant screening services like TPN Credit Bureau, PayProp, or Tenant Profile Network. These platforms provide eviction history, payment behavior, and court judgments if applicable. How much should a tenant earn to qualify for a rental property? A common rule is that monthly rent should not exceed 30% to 40% of the tenant's gross monthly income. For example, if rent is 7,000 rands, the tenant should ideally earn 18,000 to 23,000 rands per month. Can I reject a tenant based on poor credit or income level? Yes. Landlords may legally decline applicants for objective reasons such as low credit score, inability to afford the rent, or negative references. However, discrimination based on race, gender, age, religion, or disability is illegal under South African law. Do I have to provide reasons for rejecting a tenant? Not by law, but it is good practice to inform applicants in writing and provide factual reasons, such as affordability concerns or unsatisfactory credit check. This shows transparency and helps avoid legal disputes. Should I screen tenants myself or use a letting agent? Screening tenants yourself can save on fees, but it also takes time and expertise. A professional letting agent or screening service can access credit bureaus and databases, verify employment and rental history, and handle legal compliance. This ensures thorough vetting with minimal effort on your part.